Board of Trustees of the Village of Lake Barrington. It is Thursday, February 15th, 2024. It is 7:03 p.m. and I'd like the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Here.
Trustee Hayes?
Here.
Trustee Perkins? Here. Trustee Schaller? Trustee Schalmoser?
Here.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Here.
President Richardson?
Yes, ma'am. Would you all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag? Okay, agenda item 4 this evening is approval of the minutes from the Board of Trustees meeting from January 2nd and approval of the minutes from the special board meeting of trustees. I'm confused here, Sharon.
We had a special board meeting on January 17th.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks, right. Thank you. And the minutes of the special Board of Trustees meeting on January 17th, my mistake. Are there questions or edits for the administrator or the clerk on those two sets of minutes? There being none, Chair would like a motion to approve and block agenda items under 4A, minutes of the Board of Trustees meeting January 2, 2024, minutes of the special Board of Trustees meeting January 17, 2024. May I have a motion, please? So moved. Trustee Schalmoser, thank you. May I please have a second? Second. By Trustee Perkins, thank you both. The clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Schalmoser?
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Yes.
President Richardson?
Yes, thank you very much. Got a couple of things under President's remarks. First, I want to thank Trustee Perkins and Trustee Schalmoser for joining with the administrator and me and attending the Barrington Area Chamber of Commerce event the other morning. It was a delight. You mind if I use my joke again?
Please do.
I've been saving this. Lynn and I were at a early Valentine's, and I said to one of the other couples, so we were with two other couples, happy wife? Everybody knows the answer, happy life. I said, what about happy husband? My wife said, we'll see about that. And my buddy's wife said, what did you do? So just to keep this in the Valentine spirit, I thought I'd throw that back in there by way of expressing my appreciation for both of you taking time from your schedules to represent the village and to be with us. We had a lot of good comments on that, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. We have someone who wants to invest money in Lake Barrington, so we're going to welcome Sean McHugh to come on up and talk to us about his plans for a new restaurant on the former Delmonico site. Sean, welcome. Joining us by telecom is Trustee Andy Burke, who chairs our Economic Development Committee and will be an intimate partner for you in advancing your efforts. So welcome, and tell us about the business.
Fantastic. Okay, this is great. I appreciate everything. So I have the opportunity to I met Sharon and also Andy, just more so on like just some brief communication, trying to set up the liquor licensing and the businesses and so forth. I'm also partners with Galati's Hideaway that is located in Cary. So I'm Vince Galati's partner. And then we also own Orchard Prime Meats, which is in Cary, in downtown Cary. And you know, having this opportunity would be great for everybody. So what we were looking at doing is keeping it's still the steakhouse, and still having the fine wines and drinks, and there was a lot of effort that was already put into, you know, building out the place and so forth. So we spoke to the owners of the property. We negotiated a deal, and we're in the process of purchasing the two buildings and the property and so forth. So we're pretty happy about that too as well, because we're looking at this as being long project. We want to be here for a long time. Galati's Hideaway has been in Cary for over 35 years, and so we are very supportive of the board there and the president, and it's a partnership, and we like that. We like that a lot. It usually takes two to succeed in this, in the projects and so forth. So we are going to use the steaks that we have at Orchard Prime Meats. We have butchers there. We're a union shop there too as well. So that is going to be our primary supplier for our meats. And we'll have we're considering some seafood too as well. But we're just trying to get some traction. This sort of was presented to us, and we had to take a really hard look and make sure that, okay, we're not spreading ourselves too thin, buying the property, negotiating the deal to buy the restaurant, and we had to renegotiate leases in case we didn't purchase the property, and so it's been a little bit of a challenge, but we worked through it. So we're excited about being here, and we think this is going to be a great long-term adventure, and I'd like to thank the president and the board, with possibly giving us a consideration of a liquor license, and but that's about
Well,
it.
and Sean, it's our custom to allow for trustees to have a chance to ask questions about
Sure,
business.
absolutely.
And I bat cleanup typically.
Okay.
Let me begin with Trustee Burke on the phone because he's our Economic Development Chair.
Mm-hmm.
And Andy, questions for Mr. McHugh?
Oh, no, I have no questions. You and I have had a chance to exchange and chat. I just really want to extend a welcome to you, Sean, and appreciate that you have been a great communicator, both timely and comprehensively, which certainly makes our job easier. And so we're just looking forward to the partnership, both with the restaurant startup, but also certainly with the retail center. And as I've offered you the opportunity when your plans start to become clear, that we'll all sit down and share those together so we can figure out what the village can do to support you and partner with you to ensure that both the restaurant is successful and the retail center is successful. So please don't ask if we can help and support you. And again, welcome. And I know I'm speaking on behalf of President Richardson when I say we look forward to sitting back down in your fine restaurant and having a delicious glass of bread morning and a steak when the time comes. So good luck to you, and we'll look forward to partnering with you for a long time.
Great, thank you. I really appreciate it, Trustee Burke. Thank you.
Chair will recognize Trustee Falmoser for questions.
Yes. Thank you, President. Thank you for your interest. What type of menu, other than steaks, is it more upscale, like what was currently in there, or more
Yes.
middle-priced?
Yeah, what we're looking at, we're trying to keep the theme with the Prime to go along with the name Orchard Prime. We pride ourselves in downtown Cary with the Orchard Prime Meats, and, we have restaurant-style quality steaks there too as well. So, as long as we combine the volume that we think we're going to be able to do based on the fact that we'll be using it, through the steakhouse and buying it through our suppliers, through our Orchard Prime Meats in Cary, that we should be able to keep the price relatively reasonable for a prime menu. So we're excited. And same thing with the wine. We want to keep the wines in there too as well. So, steak and wine sort of go together. So we want to keep that selection, a little bit, higher end and so forth too as well. Sure.
Trustee Van Ryn.
Thank you so much for being here and your interest.
Thank you.
I'm curious, what has you interested in that location?
Well, it's funny because it's crazy how things work out. I remember going when it was the Horseshoe, and I was a customer of the Horseshoe and RSVPs, and we've always thought, Vince, my partner, and I at Galati's, we always thought it was like an interesting location based on the amount of traffic, and Galati's Hideaway is located right off of 14 too as well. And one of the challenges that we had was when Vince Galati, before I was his partner, purchased the place we're in currently right now, it didn't have a sign on Route 14. And so, I had to go in front of the board and so forth. And, signage is very, very important. And I think one of the challenges that Nick had, as far as with the signage, that, he just had Demonicos on it. What is that? It could be a shoe store, it could be anything, because there are, a rug company next door, and there's, there's a barber, or, and so a hairstylist. So with that being said, we felt as though that it was so interesting, and we just thought it was a great opportunity, especially that we own a butcher shop, and it was already set up. So it was like, I looked at Vince, and he's like, if you want to do it, go do it. But the key is that if we can buy the property too, because, we want to make sure that we're here for good, So we've been in Cary for over 35 years, and we'd love to be 35 years here too as well. So we see it as a good partnership, so.
Wonderful. Do you have a launch date in mind at this point?
We're looking, if everything goes smooth, it's going to be probably at the beginning of April. Yeah, so there really is not a lot that needs to be done inside the building, and I'm sure y'all been in there, or President, you've been in there too as well. They actually did a really good job. And so I think there's just some minor stuff, some cleanup. We might do just a few more, just put our little touch on it and so forth, but we feel as though we can, that's a pretty accurate date. If it goes back a little bit further, then that's okay too,
Well, thank
We
you.
actually signed the lease too, just in case, so we signed the lease with the owner in case, closing gets pushed back a little bit. So, we're sort of trying to cover all of our bases.
Sure. Well, thank you. I wish you well.
Sure, thank you.
Just for your benefit, Sean, the curb and gutter improvements and the greenway improvements come under Trustee Schalmoser's committee, and he led that effort. And Trustee Van Ryn asks some very good questions because she runs comms and PR for the village, that committee.
Great.
And I know she will want to post on LinkedIn, on Facebook, all of our social media accounts, the village website. So please feel free to come in and give a commercial anytime you want. We welcome that from all the restaurant owners.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful. They did not know that. That's
Yeah, so you've got a committed team here in addition to the great leadership Andy provides in understanding things around technical assistance we might provide from an engineering standpoint or a design standpoint or financial incentives. Andy's the lead on that. So
Great.
Let me recognize Trustee Perkins.
Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for coming in. I'm so excited for you. So excited that someone is going to move right in and not miss a beat. I think that's wonderful. They had some great questions. I just want to wish you well, and it sounds like you're covering all the bases to get it rolling right away. So
Yeah, we're trying.
That's very exciting, and I'm very excited for you.
Great,
So
thank you.
best of luck.
Thank you
Let
so
us
much.
know. We'll be in, right? We all like wine.
Yeah,
So, and we
fantastic. I
like-
can't wait to see everybody. So
who
that would be
doesn't-
great.
Who doesn't like steak?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. for
Thank
the
you.
comments. Thank you.
We may hold a remote meeting.
That's okay. We'll make it special.
Will you stay open late for us on
Absolutely.
Tuesday nights?
Absolutely. We'll make it work.
Trustee Hayes.
No, good luck to you, and we're elated to hear that someone has seen a vision of, because it's, I like going to Delmonico's, and I'm so sad day when they closed, but I'm sure I will be there, and anything we can do to assist you through the process, we will. So, thank you.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that.
So everything's but said, but not everybody has said it yet. So that's why I bat cleanup. You've heard the comments. When I turned 50,
Yeah.
and I'll be 67 soon, I said to my wife of now 37 years, you get to pick my midlife crisis. And I'm going to get tattled on. I always get tattled on. I'm either going to become a red wine enthusiast,
Sure.
or I'm going to find a 35-year-old girlfriend. And without missing a beat, she said, you can afford the red wine, and at your age, it'll last longer. So that's the route I went. So your success is really something that has a lot of personal meaning for me. You know, when Nick and John came in the first time, one of the things that they really looked at were some of the great Italian and Spanish reds, Portuguese reds. There was some French and some California, Washington State, et cetera, but how are you approaching the wine list? Because that really is a big part of the draw. I wouldn't say, I'm not a connoisseur.
Yeah.
I'm just a guy who likes wine.
Sure. So in regards to the wine, just to give you a little bit of history and background with Nick and John. So Nick used to own a portion of the butcher shop that was in downtown Cary. We actually bought his portion, which was 50% of the building and the business, from him, and then he went and invested in other adventures and so forth. So in speaking with Nick, as we all know, Nick is a very big kind of wine connoisseur and so forth. So we're actually considering possibly, doing something with Nick on the wine level, just because his vast knowledge of it, that there could be a possibility there. We're possibly thinking about bringing in some outside help along with that too as well. Just to make sure that we have the right selections and so forth.
I've met a lot of folks in the restaurant business over the years, and you sell an experience, really. It's the quality of the food, it's the quality of the service, and it's then the environment, the atmospherics, the ambiance of the place. Do you anticipate, describe the ambiance for those of us who have been to the prior restaurant. How is it going to look the same, or how is it going to look different? Because it was certainly a popular motif for a lot of our regional residents.
The foundation is there for sure. The foundation is for sure there. Just the initial build out and the way that the kitchen was set up, just to make sure that we get, get the food out timely and cooked correctly. The ambiance is going to be it's going to be really soft and welcoming. It's, you'll be greeted at the door. It'll be top notch. It'll be top notch. So we just as we do with all of our other businesses, is that the customer comes first, and we want that customer to keep coming back to us. And really, it all starts, with the first experience that they have. And there's a reason why we've been in Cary for 35 years, and the customer will come first. The ambiance is going to be very soft. The mood lighting will be there. There won't be any kind of crazy music or anything like that. So we're taking a real strong approach to making sure that the first impression is the lasting impression, and that we have customers that come back frequently.
Well, it has the opportunity to leverage and intersect with the neighboring businesses, which are going to, I believe, be a great fit and complement to the demographics you're seeking in terms of customers. The people who will go to the new business that sell high-end Oriental carpets, and of course DB Menswear. We were going, and I give Andy a lot of credit for the vision here, we were going for something that would be reinforcing, and so we're thrilled with this because we think you can do some shopping late on a Saturday afternoon, and then have an early dinner.
Yes.
And so we would encourage you to collaborate with your neighbors.
For sure.
And there is the Barrington Chamber, if you're not a member, is worth considering joining because they do a nice job in promotion. They really do.
Absolutely. We will be joining.
Thank you.
100%. Yeah, we will definitely be joining.
Well, keep us posted. I won't give Trustee Burke's cell phone number out in public, but I'm sure you can get it, so
No worries.
please know that we're here for you.
Great, thank you.
Best of luck. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was nice meeting everybody, and thank you for the consideration with the liquor license.
Oh, absolutely. We'll take that up in just a moment. We're going to let the other folks address, and then stay put, and we'll pass it while you're here.
Sounds good.
Okay.
It's nice to meet everybody.
I'd like to recognize and invite up Michael Jackson, who is the Homeland Security Chief for the Lake County Sheriff's Department. And we are thrilled because, our brand statement, our vision statement as a community is an oasis of gracious countryside living. We want people to exhale when they come to Lake Barrington because it's a stressful world we live in. And security is so important today. So we are thrilled you're here. We love what the Sheriff's Office does for us. Lieutenant Kirk and his team are just spectacular. So please, the floor is yours, and hit the red button if you would.
Okay, as the President said, first off, good evening. And as he said, I'm Michael Jackson, no jokes, and I am the current Director of Homeland Security for the Sheriff's Office. And one of my goals is to come out and meet the board who we serve. So you can get to know who I am, you can get the first view of who I am, especially if I'm going to be calling you. I'm sure Administrator Peterson knows that I do call, I do return calls, and it's just important to know the people that we're serving and that you can get in touch with a live body and not just the answer machine, cell phone, and that type of thing. So one of the things I pride myself in have to do and want to do is, as I said, is to meet the board. So in case you have any questions, you can get an answer if it's something I know, if it's something I don't know, or even if it's something I can't talk about. And we all have been there. I'm a public official in my community, so I'm sure you understand what that all means. So with that, I just want, as I say, addressing the board, to introduce myself to you first and foremost, and see if you have any questions about any pending things that you may not even got an answer to, afraid to ask, or not sure if you want to ask. So I'm that kind of guy.
Thank you. As you saw, we go around the dais, so let me begin by recognizing Trustee Schalmoser for any questions or comments.
Thank you, President Richardson. What is on your radar now? What is the biggest concern that you're contending with that you can mention publicly?
Well, pretty much what we're doing is looking at the different things that are going on. Obviously, the various events that are happening worldwide, we work with, and the nice part about my job is I get to work with Secret Service, FBI, and local law enforcement. So any information on intelligence of something going on my job is to be able to get that information out in a timely manner to the residents of Lake County. Yes, sir.
Trustee Van Ryn.
Thank you. It's very nice to meet you. Thank you for coming in and talking with us. Any advice you have for our residents who might be watching on how to stay secure in these days?
Well, you've heard the old cliche, see something, say something. That's very true. Unfortunately, in this world, most people are, again, like the infamous ostrich, I guess I'm saying, is they're burying their heads in the sand and letting things happen, or they see things and they're afraid to say something. And my goal is to, go out there and talk to residents and say, hey, if you see something, say something. You don't necessarily have to give your name or any other pertinent information, but say something. Don't sit back on your laurels and say, well, I wish I could have, should have. Because we're all in this together. We're all stakeholders in what's going on in our nation. And so by being upfront and seeing something, saying something, even if it's just calling it in, is a benefit to again, law enforcement or to those who need to know what's happening.
Agreed. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Trustee Van Ryn. Excuse me, Trustee Perkins. My mistake.
No worries. Thank you, President Richardson. I guess I thank you for being here, and it's just so nice to meet you. Do you feel, let me just ask you this. In your opinion, do you feel that things are getting better, or do you feel that things are getting...
Slowly. It's honestly, slowly is getting better, and again, depending on situations, because that question is a double-edged sword, So, again, depending what you're looking at when you're saying better, is society getting better? Obviously, the answer is probably no, is my opinion. But are things getting better as far as how we're slowly progressing? Yes, because some things people are actually taking, obviously, as we saw, probably those who saw the unfortunate situation in Kansas where obviously the participants were, in that sense, they were proactive in assisting with catching the suspect. So people getting involved is slowly evolving a little better. We're still a far cry away, but doing a little something is a lot better than doing nothing. if that is the answer you want. I can't give you a definitive yes or no. I just see that we're in the right direction. The other part of that, I'm going to say, is the second phase is people are now taking things that are happening serious. It's not the mindset, and I'm sure we would all agree, is like, well, it's no problem if it's not happening in my community. Well, you know what's happening in the world, and the world is somewhat, to me, in my thinking, is part of our community, because it may have happened in Kansas yesterday, it can happen anywhere at any time, and it's not if, it's when, and what are we doing about it beforehand.
Excellent. Do you feel that, I know for a while there, I felt, I really, my heart hurt for, and I was worried for our police and our sheriffs. I was very worried because they were so disrespected. Do you feel like you're gaining a little more respect? Is that getting a little better? I guess
that one too is pinning who you're looking for, and the other part of that too, trustee, is that we have to look at what's the agenda of the person that's bringing things about, either changing laws, what's the agenda behind why they want to do it. As I am actually a retired law enforcement officer from one of the Lake County communities where I served for 28 years, so I do see change. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, as I sit there and look at the various laws that the legislature has put out. And I sometimes shake my head and I'm like, we're supposed to be serving the people, and it's like you kind of holding our hands. And it's one thing to hold your feet to the fire if you're doing wrong, but it's another thing to take away the gains that's going to allow law enforcement to do the job that they're hired to do.
Well, thank you for being here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. That's the most important thing. I enjoy, obviously, speaking to boards and obviously municipal government, because you're the ones that make the decisions. And tonight is just important to me because I want you to be able to put a face with the name. And when I call, release, hey, well, okay, I heard him. I may not like what he said, but I heard him. So therefore, it's just a part of me getting out in the public eye to let you know that we do have Homeland Security program that is up and running, and we may be reaching out to you in some vein.
Excellent. And we won't forget your name either.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, my nickname's Thriller.
Yeah. Oh, wait, one more question. Can you move on? Just kidding.
Everybody asks that. Yes, I have to work on that, so,
Trustee Hayes.
Yeah, Michael, thanks for coming here tonight. Like you, I was in charge of the Illinois National Guard. So
okay.
I do have a topic that I think would be of interest to all of us later. So the 2016 election, and I was part of all the cyber oversight of the election to just make sure everything was in good shape. I think with this elections coming up, it'd be interesting for us to get an update, security threats, because it's going to get kind of crazy, I'm guessing. And I think that would be a particular interest, because we do have a polling station that we have here, if I'm not mistaken. Right. And I think we'd love to hear what you learn, and I know the closer you get, the more you're going to know. So thanks for being here tonight, and love to hear about that later.
Okay, that'll be good. And like I say, I will, obviously, any information that I can filter, I will pass it on to President Richardson and obviously Administrator Peterson, because that is an important factor. And fortunately, we are working with the Lake County Clerk's Office on some things. I can't get into it right now, but we are working with Clerk Vega on some things. So again, we're looking at the future. So, yes.
Let me recognize by telephone or by internet, Trustee Burke.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Director Jackson, from afar, and thank you very much for taking the time out of your evening to come meet with us. That means a lot to us. I don't have any specific questions for you. I just want to thank you for your service, and thank you for the part that you, your team, and the entire Sheriff Department do for keeping our citizens safe. So thanks again.
Well, thank you, sir, for allowing us to serve you. And as I always say, we're here to serve and not be served.
I get to back cleanup, so I'll build on a few of the questions. And thank you for your service. No one goes into public service to get rich. They do it to give back. And so we value the people who are first responders in this community. We value our veterans. And we don't shirk or run away from that. We are proud. When we say the Pledge of Allegiance, we mean every single word of it. Tell me how your office interacts with the Lake County Emergency Management Agency.
We're actually partners with, we have what is called a Memorandum of Understanding. There's 3 organizations under that memorandum, and that's the Sheriff's Office, Lake County Emergency Management, and the Lake County Health Department. So we all work together for the betterment of Lake County and the various communities. Obviously, the whole 52 communities, have interest in what we're doing, and we try to provide the best service we can for that. So actually, I am a retired emergency manager from Lake County Emergency Management. I was emergency management specialist there, is some of my background. So I know the inner workings of that organization, and like I said, they're a good, what we call a good stand-up organization, solid as far as trying to make sure information is out there and to make sure you know who to contact when something occurs. So our partnership, we all work together. We work together on exercises, we work together on community projects, and if we can, and making sure the community knows what's going on.
We tend to think of Lake County Emergency Management or your office when bad things happen. Correct. Of course. But bad things come in lots of forms. I have learned it's changed a lot. And since you have a little snow on the roof like I do, when you and I were young, it was a lot simpler to be a bad guy. Yes. How much of the work that you all pursue with maybe your MOU partners relates to cyber?
Well, we actually just the cyber side is more on the Homeland Security, so that is something that I'll be working with the federal government and the local, some of the local municipalities if needed, the state of Illinois, because in my job, I'm responsible for that particular part of the process, and to work with the State of Illinois Deputy Director of Homeland Security. So I do have the proper people that we can go to get the answers if we don't have them. So we try and work in tandem with all of the proper agencies to make sure that things are done proper, or how to get answers, or to address some of the concerns that may obviously be going on right now.
Well, I'm beginning to worry as much or more about the cyber risks as the risks of physical violence, although both are concerning, in far more than they should be. I'll make a point of calling your office. Trustee Van Ryn and I work for a Lake County headquartered company that really is a global leader in a lot of this. We have a technology center. Would love for you and the other agencies with whom you work to come and tour our facility, because some of the best capabilities, especially for business and government, are run and made by a company right here in Lake County. And we'd like to acquaint you with it because we have some scary, smart brainiacs. These are the folks who swim in the deep end of the gene pool. I wade in the shallow end. We want you to know that we are proud of the work that you do on our behalf, and we look forward to a great relationship. I hope to be with you many times at Sean's restaurant.
Yeah, I was telling him that. I was like, I had that dinner, and he's making these obviously this presentation, which is now making me hungry. So
I hope not to ever have to call you in the day job capacity.
No. Again, we're here for you, Mr. President. Like I say, with what you're talking about as far as site tour and all, I actually have an organization that, again, we can connect you with that will deal with the cyber crimes and things of that nature. So, like I said, I don't want to take up much of your time because I know you got a full agenda as I looked at tonight. But I do want to let you know that we do have, again, our federal partners who can come out and do some things.
And we work
that I
with
think would be
CISA.
great. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they're quite good. We're grateful, and in the interest of everybody's time, I will say thank you for coming in, and please give the sheriff our best regards.
I will. Thank you all for allowing me to introduce myself and hopefully to answer any questions that you may have. And again, Administrator Peterson has my contact information. If there's something that you want to contact me with offline, feel free. Again, my door is always open. I joke about it. I have 3 offices. I have a Waukegan office, I have a Libertyville office, and I got my car. So you can always get me, and I always return calls. So thank you again, Mr. President, trustees, for this opportunity to address you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Darren, I'm going to ask you to be patient for just a second because I want to pass Mr. McHugh's liquor license. I'll find that here. Sharon, where is that?
It is on the consent agenda, excuse me, and it is item B.
Chair would like to take out of order Agenda Item 7B this evening, consideration of an ordinance amending the Lake Barrington Village Code, Section 2-3-6, quotation, classification of licenses, quotation. Quick setup on this, Sharon, just to follow on to the conversation a moment ago.
Yes, the village board, the mayor is basically the liquor commissioner for the village, and when a business closes, an ordinance is adopted reducing those classifications of liquor licenses for that particular business. If a business is opening and a person opening a restaurant or selling liquor is interested in obtaining a liquor license, the village board does need to adopt an ordinance increasing those classifications of liquor licenses. This also includes a background check and other details, and once all of that is approved or passes, we then have an ordinance on the agenda like this evening to increase the classes of liquor licenses. This is for Class B, which is for the consumption of liquor on premises, and then the Class F, which is for outdoor consumption as well. And you have to have a Class B in order to have a Class F.
We discussed this in executive session, or in committee of the whole earlier, so Chair would like to request a motion to approve ordinance number 2024-0-04, an ordinance amending the Lake Barrington Village Code, Section 2-3-6, classification of licenses. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
By Trustee Van Ryn. Moved by Trustee Van Ryn, seconded by Trustee Burke. And I will ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Shellmoser?
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Yes.
President Richardson?
Yes, thank you very, very much. The Chair would now like to recognize Darren Monaco from Gewalt Hamilton.
All right, good evening, everybody. I'll open this up here quickly. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I represent Gewalt Hamilton Consultants. We are the village engineers for the town. If I can remember my password. So I'm here to speak about the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System, otherwise known as the NPDES. It is a requirement. So the presentation of this in a public setting, like the village board meeting, fulfills this requirement from the IEPA. This is intended to inform the Board of Trustees and the residents and to affirm the commitment to water quality. NPDES comes from the Environmental Protection Agency down to the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency and then to the requirements for the village of Lake Barrington. This is intended to protect the waterways and the water quality and ensure that local governments follow the rules and they limit erosion to limit and avoid spills and discharges in our waterways. So this is year 22. It's just 22 years after the original permit started. They go in 5-year cycles. These are not pictures in Lake Barrington, but they show the examples of things and issues that this permit is intended to find and to stop and to limit. This is about prevention, pollution prevention, good housekeeping for municipal operations. It's also, there's an additional part of it called illicit discharge detection and elimination with more government acronyms. As part of this program, we will inspect 72 outfalls within the village that are considered critical outfalls. They look at all over town. We have them listed on the GIS. There is one shown in the bottom right part of the screen. That is the corner of Kelsey and 59 by Zaza's there. That, you may ask the question, why are there not any being taken in that detention pond there? That is a privately owned detention basin, so it's not part of that. Water flows in from Tower Lakes into that basin and flows out of the village back into Tower Lakes. The area for the Zaza's parking lot actually goes southwest towards the ponds back that way. There is a standard form that we fill out for this. It just identifies which outlet it is, what condition it is, and we look for certain things like soap bubbles, lots of erosion, paint spills, basically anything that looks out of the ordinary from a dry weather inspection is a red flag, and then we try to determine what causes that and what are the reasonings and what can be done about that. We do inspect. The rules are 20% of the village in the 5-year cycle. So within 5 years, everything is inspected. It is like I said, 5-year cycles. It's also called MS4, Municipal Separate Storm Sewer Systems. They keep threatening to bring out a new rules for this. It said March 23. It is not out yet. When it is brought out, it will start the 5-year cycle through the permit. But at this point, we continue on a yearly basis the existing permit until the new one is brought up by the IEPA. And then as part of this, you are also required to be part of watershed work groups. So the village is part of 2 of these, the Fox River Study Group, which is one of the oldest watershed groups, and then the Flint Creek/Spring Creek watershed partnerships. And that is the end of my brief presentation. Are there any questions?
Chair is happy to recognize trustees for questions of Mr. Monaco. Now, there being none, we have a long-standing commitment to not only full compliance with the governing laws, but we have certainly for the last 20-plus years really worked on groundwater protection. Some of our open space purchases that we've done, and we partner with the County Forest Preserves District on this. We can do tuck-in pieces that are strategically valuable but not big enough to be of interest to them. And then, of course, our tremendous partners locally with Citizens for Conservation. And one of the key criteria has always been defense and protection of groundwater recharge areas, because we're all on shallow aquifers. And so data like this is very useful because it helps make sure that we're doing the right things. We are mindful that a major river is on our western border. We are mindful that other major waterways, including Flint Creek, run through our community. So we appreciate your help. Gewalt's help has been always very valuable to us. Know that we're open to advice on these things because we not seek only to comply, but to exceed wherever we can.
All right, thank you.
No further questions? Thank you, Darren, very much. So, Sharon, am I in good shape? We've done MS4. We've talked about the exciting new restaurant opening. We've gotten the briefing from Homeland Security. I think we're legal, aren't we?
Yes.
Heaven forbid. Okay, Chair would like to move on to agenda item number 6 this evening. This is the first opportunity in the agenda for the public to address the board on non-agenda items. And I see we have a guest. And please hit the little button in the middle so the red light comes on.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny, I've been going to a couple village board meetings, Deer Park, Hawthorne Woods, Lakes, there are a couple of them, and at every single one, I see people I know, or topics that I know of. My son is the deputy sheriff up in Marquette, Michigan. I love Orchard Meats. I used to work for McHenry County, and so I'd swing through Cary on my way home. You know, it's a big treat, birthdays, all that. So it is fun. My name is Mary Kozub, and I am the president of the Ancient Oaks Foundation. The other conservation group in 60047 and others. If you're not familiar with us, we started out just in Lake Zurich. We do all of our volunteer work up until this year on Lake Zurich's property, in their parks and natural areas. We did expand into Hawthorne Woods it was pre-pandemic, so it was about 4 years ago. We did do work with Deer Park and Flint Creek Watershed. So we are going like this because it's so important, and that's why a lot of us live here. But we have had a very generous donor in the past year, and we've decided to go to help out the citizens do conservation on their own property. So what we decided to do with the money, and we're all volunteers, we do pay an executive director this much to help us, but we decided we're going to share the wealth. So we are paying homeowners to take the buckthorn out of their yards. So they can do it all electronically, or they can have someone come and go, that's a buckthorn, that's a buckthorn, that's a buckthorn, help them learn how to identify it. We will pay them up to $150 per household. I'll start with the other side. So these are our brochures. That is a flyer about the program, how you do it, how you sign up. We pay them by the stump. Sure. Oh, sorry, Andy. So that by the size of the stump. You know, so if you have 3, you're still going to get, $25 or something. But if you have, and you guys have big lots out here too. So we are working on a couple of things too, because Hawthorne Woods mayor is part of a homeowners association, so he's like, what about my homeowners association? So we got to figure that out. But what a great problem to have. So I'm trying to think. We did a soft launch this fall, November. We had like 3 people. We just did our little members, with the holidays and everything. At the end of the year, we had 8. We have 42. And we've just been hitting Facebook and the village websites, and we have 2 people going out doing the house visits. The interesting thing, and it really proves the electronic world, is what Facebook could do, because you can narrow it down to what you want. I mean, we've got Grays Lake, Mundelein. I had Warrenville. I had some Will County people. I don't know how. Somebody forwarded it to their brother-in-law or something, right? So it's been exciting. We believe we are one of the only organizations with private money doing work on private land and things like that. I have done some visits to landscaping companies, trying to pull them in so that they will get rid of the buckthorn for people too, because nobody wants to touch the stuff a lot of times too. I don't blame them. So, and also they'll be able to hand out the brochures. So I dropped off 100 at one company today, and I did 50 to another company. So do you have any questions? I don't want to take up your...
Yes, Chair is happy to recognize trustees for questions. Does anyone seek recognition for a question?
It's overwhelming in a way, but...
Microphone, Susie.
This is Andy. I have a couple comments and a question.
Oh, sure. That's Andy, right? Yeah. The voice.
Yeah, that's the guy you can't see.
Yeah, the voice in the rafters. Go ahead.
It is coming from above. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in. I have a particular interest in this, as I have done a significant amount of buckthorn removal from my yard. So the obvious first question is, is this retroactive? Can I bill you for all the way taken out?
Go ahead.
I think I took that as a no, right?
I didn't say anything.
I find it very intriguing because there is a very interesting relationship that people seem to have in my neighborhood with buckthorn. They love it.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to understand how destructive it is. And the reason they love it is it requires screening. And we've had some bad situations where we've had our general landscaper come in and clear buckthorn away from our ponds and some of our other places. Mm-hmm. And people have screamed about it, right? And just don't understand. Like, you took the natural screenway, it's good for the deer, it's good for the birds, and I think the more education that we can do on this, the better, because people are really, I think, sadly misinformed about buckthorn and some perceived value that it plays in the ecosystem here.
Yes.
And I would love to see more of my neighbors doing this, so the more we can communicate and the more we can promote what we're doing, the better. And I think it's great to go to landscapers too. You're familiar with the Trillium people, right?
Yes.
In Lake Barrington?
Yes. I should go to them. Yeah.
So please go to them, because they're actually doing the restoration work for where I had all my buckthorn taken out.
Oh, cool.
So, and they're doing a magnificent job. So they're putting natural native landscape in the area that I had cleared, and they're doing a great job. So they would be great partners. I also know that people like McGinty and some of the big ones, Davy Tree, they do a lot of buckthorn clearing.
Yes, they do.
So the more of those types that you can get to and cross-promote, I mean, imagine the power of them saying, you know, you can get paid to have this done, so in some ways you're getting kind of reimbursed for what it cost you. So, great program, thanks for sharing it.
Sure.
And if I do any more, but my neighbors will probably string me up if I do any more, I'll be coming looking for support.
Oh, excellent. Just let me know. A couple of things I was going to say to you. On our website, we have resources too. So if the neighbors talk about the buckthorn, we have all the comparative hedges and things they should plant for their privacy. And we actually have how you design to plant it, so you get better than just the stinking buckthorn. And then too, I like your idea, Trillium. I haven't worked with them a long time, but yes, I've worked with them over the years. Yes, and it is an amazing, I don't know if you've ever been part of it, but taking the buckthorn out, watching it actually just re-explode into diversity and biological life and birds and deer. Well, and deer, don't you guys have a lot of deer? I was going to say.
We do.
Yeah.
It's happening. It's happening in my front yard, so I'm on my third year of the natural restoration, but also it's happened in our beautiful forest preserve in Grassy Lake.
Yes.
We're right behind our amazing community, and I've actually gone in and worked on digging and cutting and burning that, and it's pretty fun work, but the transformation of Grassy Lake Forest Preserve is nothing short of phenomenal.
And in less than 10 years. Grassy.
Yeah, in less than 10 years.
I mean, people think, oh God, I'll never get rid of it. It does happen. And the other thing, when you talk about education, Andy, too, is you do have to keep up on it, but it's not as intensive as if you had a lawn. You don't have to do it every week, but you do have to do it every season. So that's all. So it's funny you bring that up. We've been doing buckthorn programs for the Village of Hawthorne Woods. We did it at Eagle Area Library too, where we invite the public. We have 3 presentations. We have a 20-minute, a 30-minute, and a 45 to teach about buckthorn, kind of go over the history too. I mean, the guy who brought it here is from Glenview, or was from Glenview. So it's really kind of nuts. And that way, and everybody who shows up at these, they're looking for help, they're looking for education, they just don't know. And so, being able to share I want to say love, but, love of natural areas, love of natural plants, love of where we live, so it doesn't turn into a monoculture of a poisonous plant. I'm sorry, I get up.
Oh, that's okay. I'd like to recognize other trustees who might have a question.
Yeah.
When I became mayor in 2005, we reached out to our friends at the Illinois Sierra Club.
Yes.
And we passed one of the most stringent tree preservation ordinances in the state.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And I asked them to be aggressive in the writing of the ordinance. Our brand statement, our vision statement is an oasis of gracious countryside living.
I saw that.
And while we have great respect and regard for our friends at the Illinois Department of Transportation, they're in the business of clear-cutting
Right.
200-year-old oaks to build 4-lane roads. And we have occasionally parted company on some things. They're wonderful people, they're dedicated public servants, but sometimes our interests diverge. And so your message is one that we receive very well.
Oh, good.
Because we've had a long history of protecting these trees.
Good.
And along Route 22 by Good Shepherd, there used to be a set on the south side of 22,
Are those houses? What-
and on the north side is on Good Shepherd property, and
Right.
they're still there. But when the others were taken down in the middle of the night,
I remember that.
I became rather animated. And so your message is well received here. When you can give us advice and coaching, the welcome mat is out, the coffee is on, and we're all ears.
Well, I was
Thank you
gonna
for coming
offer
in.
too, if you'd like us to come and do a community for the program, backwards, program for the community, we'd be more than happy to do some in this beautiful room right here.
Sorry. Well, we might connect when we do something with the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts, so
Sure.
start them early. So thank you for coming in, Ray. Thank you much. Oh. Oh. Yeah, some of those are going to go to South Carolina with me. Thank you, Mary, very much for coming in. Okay, we can move to agenda item 7, the consent agenda. We've discussed these items previously in the Committee of the Whole. 7A, consideration of an ordinance amending the Lake Barrington Village Code, Section 2-3-4, liquor license required, proration of certain license fees. C, consideration of an ordinance establishing the compensation for the village administrator effective January 1, 2024. D, consideration of an ordinance regarding compensation of various appointed officers and/or positions of employment in the village. E, consideration of a simple scope, short-term agreement with HR Green Incorporated for preliminary engineering for the 2024 rural program in the amount of $9,000. F, consideration of a proposal from Works Solutions Management in the amount not to exceed $5,400 for professional services relative to development of a website portal for use by residents and contractors of the village. And there is no G, right, Sharon? Okay. So Chair would like a motion to consider in block items 7A, C, D, E, and F. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
By Trustee Hayes, thank you. May I have a second? Second. By Trustee Schalmoser, thank you both. Clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Schalmoser?
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Yes.
President Richardson?
Yes, thank you very much. Come on, Kevin, while we're young. There we go. We are on agenda item 8, which is the treasurer's report. Mrs. Hirsch.
Oh, it's on. Okay, good evening. I will start by saying normally we have our investment report this month. Matt Bernardi, the Vice President at Bernardi Securities, is on paternity leave. His wife is having her third baby. And so he asked me if the board would be okay pushing it back a month, or he would have his brother come, and I thought you guys would be fine pushing it back a month. So he's not avoiding bad news. It's all good news. We had a good year in the investment account, so we'll get to see that next month. So tonight in front of us, you have the financial statements for the 8 months ending December 31st, 2023. So we're plugging along through our fiscal year. You can see on the flash report on page 2, we have assets of $3,405,000. We have current liabilities of $406,000 and equity of almost $3 million, $2,999,000. Revenue for the 8 months has been $3,585,000, and our expenses are at $4,144,000, resulting in a net loss of $559,000. So if you look at last year at this point, we had a net income of $666,000. So what we do historically, we pull out the unusual items to kind of compare regular operation net income and loss to year. We do that, you'll see we have regular operation net income of $603,000 compared to last year at this time of $859,000. So looking year to year, we do have a few expense items, key expense items that are higher than last year, making a big part of the difference. That's engineering services. We did a lot more road work this year than we did last year. Year before. Legal is up this year. Other consultants, we're doing a big project with the building department. Police services and waste disposal are also up this year from last year. That we know, it's all contract driven. We knew those would be higher. The good news is that interest income is much higher than last year. As you recall, last year was a wild ride in interest rates. They started at about 2% and rode up to 4.2% all in 1 year. So it really gave our poor bond fund lost a lot of value from a fair market standpoint, which we recognize that each year. That's recovered this year. Those bonds are maturing, so that was it's just barely moving. If you put the 2 years together, it's almost a net zero, but because we have to recognize that, this year is looking really good. And also, interest rates were high the entire year, not just half the year. So that's making up some of the difference, so that's a nice change. If we look to page 13 and 14, we can look at our actual to budget reports, and now we anticipated some of these changes, and so we'll look at where we're sort of differing. You can see on page, excuse me one second while I get there. My page 13, which I believe you probably have different page numbers, but page 13 of the financial reports. Sorry, I think I wouldn't be able to flip to it really. Page 63 in the packet, okay. Well, you'll see our revenues at 74% actual budget, so we're pretty much trending along with budget. Revenues are coming in as expected. Page 14, our expenditures at 69% actual to budget. So we're still trending below budget, for that perspective, but there are some things that have not been recognized yet that will pull that up. And there's some expense categories that are just going to be higher than budgeted. We had a lot of sort of changes this year that weren't anticipated, some things with staff and some things with, with the building permit project, so forth. So those items will come in over budget. So computer consulting will come in over budget this year, legal, other consultants, and our IMF contributions are coming in over budget as well. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say about the general fund. We still have 4 months to go in our year, so we'll see how that all turns out, but nothing really of concern is showing itself right now, but happy to answer any questions.
Are there questions for the treasurer?
Okay, well, we can turn to my page 15, your page 68 or something, for the motor fuel tax fund, and we have current assets in there of $343,000. We are going to build those again over the course of this year and spend those next year. So no anticipated expenditures there. That fund grows about $20,000 a month. And so we'll see what's happening with, gas tax and gas usages over the year to see how that keeps coming in. And then lastly, on page, we'll go to the water sewer fund, and that's page 19. One of these days I'll get your page numbers, so I keep you the bad page numbers. Okay, all right, good. So my page 19, we're looking at the water sewer fund. We have net current assets in there of about $1,759,000. There was just one unusual expense in there this month. It's $50,000 or so was spent on preventive maintenance on well 1. That was approved in last month's warrants, but it is blowing through the financial statements this month. Otherwise, nothing else to really mention in that fund.
Peggy, I have a question on that. Two questions. The water rates study, I know we've been struggling to get vendors interested in that.
I think Sharon's been working on that.
Yeah, I have a Zoom call set up with Todd on
Great.
Tuesday afternoon.
Great.
Yes, just to
Marvelous.
kind of introductions and get the ball rolling.
One of the things that is common in government contracting is the notion of a bidders conference. Trustee Hayes probably remembers this from his earlier life. And it's to solicit, to put all the potentially interested parties in one place so they can give us advice on what should be in our RFP. And then we take that advice and fashion an RFP based on our best judgment in terms of the community's interests. But it's a great way to get all the insight you want, in an effective manner. And frankly, it works because the firms are determined to put their A game on in front of their competitors. So it's a win-win, and I've seen these work well, and we've got a short-term project coordinator who's going to help us, who I've worked with before and who has a lot of experience in these things. So it's a one-off, couple of $1,000s for his time.
Yes.
So, but I know this water study, and I talked to two people in January at the U.S. Conference of Mayors meeting at the Mayor's Water Council, and one of which I know we approached originally. I'm going to make another run at him, and then there was another firm, and I've got their business card, so pester me tomorrow, and I promise I'll give it to you. I'm sorry for the interruption, but I just wanted to make sure.
You had two questions?
That was it, really,
okay.
the consultant and then the bidders conference.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. We'll move on to the warrants. There's a handful to mention this evening. So warrant A, I'm really just mentioning the B&F invoices on there. It's October. I mean, they're so far behind their billing, but they did get November and December to us on warrant B. So finally, we are caught up with them. Others to mention on there, Chalmers Street Consulting has two requests, each of $7,333.33. That's payment 1 and 2. They had a $20,000 SOW3 that those are going towards. I mentioned Cuba Township only as the first salt invoice we've gotten this year, but it is for $12,027.63. January was kind of a cold month, if we remember. February's been very warm, so we probably won't hit budget, but we'll see what happens in March. I don't want to jinx this, because we could still have a lot of winter left. And then on the water sewer fund, there's DAMI, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Mechanical Industries, and that's for $14,518, and that was aerator cleaning and repair in that fund. And then lastly, on warrant B, a large one for Chicagoland paving, $99,323.61. That is the final invoice for the Hillside Hillview project. And you will note that the overall amount of the warrant is high this month. LRS did finally submit their invoices, so there's 3 months of invoices for LRS on there. Because this meeting's a little bit late, we'll have multiple invoices from different vendors because we're paying their next month invoice. So it is rather high. Obviously, there's the road work on there, but they've all been reviewed, and they're here for your approval. Any
Questions for the treasurer on the warrants? I really like this format. I mean, we've been using it for years, but I really like it because it's so easy to understand.
Well, hopefully, yeah.
You know, transparency is important, and this makes it, I'm a good husband in the sense that I love doing the dishes because I see a clean sink at the end, and it's the same thing with these. I like these because I can understand them readily, and the residents can if they choose to look at them.
Absolutely.
So, questions for the treasurer? If not, then Chair would like a motion to approve in block agenda items 8A through C. A, approve the financial statements as of December 31, 2023. B, pay bills in the amount of $429,161.64 as listed on the accounts payable warrant A dated February 15, 2024. And C, pay bills in the amount of $131,786.95 as listed on accounts payable warrant B dated February 15, 2024. May I have a motion in block?
So moved.
By Trustee Hayes, may I please have a second?
Second.
By Trustee Den Ryan. Thank you both. Clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Schelmoser?
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Yes.
President Richardson?
Yes, thank you very much. Agenda item 9 is the administrator's report.
Thank you, President Richardson. I had the pleasure of attending the ILCMA Winter Conference in Bloomington last week, February 7th through the 9th. I want to thank the Village Board for allowing me to attend this event. There was some really good sessions on mental health, collaboration, dealing with difficult conversations, leadership and strategic planning, and a lot of good networking as well.
I want to know why everybody looked at me when you talked about dealing with difficult conversations. I'm very insecure.
That was actually really good. We sat around tables, and a colleague of mine had brought up a difficult conversation she had to have. She's a newer administrator, and that was with a developer who was used to how things had been prior to her being in that village. So that was an interesting one, because I always think of these difficult conversations more being employee-focused. So it's kind of good to get a different perspective.
Yeah, the village prioritizes training for you and the clerk, and for the permit coordinator, too.
Yes.
We get a lot of value out of you getting better at your jobs. So we're willing to invest in your development, and please know that. Anything else?
That is it, thank you.
Agenda item 10, I want to again welcome Rebecca Harrington to the team here in Lake Barrington as our new clerk.
Thank you.
For the benefit of the record, since you're on camera, just remind people of your background, and I'm interested to know why you got interested in us,
Oh, okay.
and any buyer's remorse.
No. So my name is Rebecca, and I've been working here for about a month now. I got interested in coming into a municipality type setting because actually my brother-in-law works for in the municipality as well in Roselle. So I learned a lot from him and was really interested, and honestly I just want to help people. So that's my biggest goal, is just to learn as much as I can and to help as many people as I can. So far I've tackled a bunch of questions that residents have, and just really excited to continue to do that and to work with Sharon and all of you to be able to better serve the community, so, yeah.
Welcome, we are delighted.
Thank you.
Is there a report tonight, anything you want to highlight?
Actually, yes. I just wanted to talk about early voting, because that is coming up. So Village of Lake Barrington is an early voting site. Any Lake County registered voter can utilize any early voting site located in Lake County. So this doesn't have to be your official voting site. If you're in Lake County, you can come here to vote early. Early voting dates at Village Hall are Monday, March 4th to Saturday, March 16th. And the times are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., and closed on Sunday. We've had a couple of people come in to drop off their ballots with us. We do not accept ballots. Anyone here at the village, any staff member, we are not election judges, so just be sure that you drop them off during the above said times. And the village can register voters for early voting only up until February 20th, so that's coming up. So if you have to register to vote, please do that as soon as possible. And then the general primary election will take place on March 19th. So please visit Lake County's website to find out more information on your voting site, where you're assigned to, and any other information can be found on our website under voter information.
Questions for the clerk? Excellent report, thank you very much. We'll move to agenda item 11, reports of the standing committees. A, branding and comms. Trustee Van Ryn.
Thank you, President Richardson. A couple updates from my end. I had the pleasure on February 10th of attending our first annual Cocoa Crawl, which was sponsored by the Barrington Area Chamber of Commerce. I went with my younger daughter, and we had a blast. It was so much fun. We were joined by about 175 other attendees, which I think is amazing. Wow. For a first time. It was fun to walk up and down Pepper Road and see people walking around with the bags and having all sorts of warm drinks and soups, and it was just amazing. So look forward to next year. Hope you can all join us then. And I'm excited to report, if you recall at our last meeting, we were at 169 followers on LinkedIn. I really was hoping we'd get to 170. We're up to 186. So we're getting a lot of traffic. I really think having things posted there about the Cocoa Crawl and things that we can, Rebecca was a great ad to welcome her officially to the village with a nice photo, and anytime we can illustrate our stories, I think it draws more attention there. So I'll be looking for opportunities to tell great stories with great images going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for Trustee Van Ryn? 11B, Economic Development, Trustee Burke.
Yes, hello, thank you. Building on Trustee Van Ryn's report on the Cocoa Crawl, there were 13 retailers involved in the Cocoa Crawl as well, and feedback that I've gotten was extremely well received. So I'm thrilled to hear that, and shout out to Suzanne Core from Barrington Area Chamber of Commerce, who, our investment in her and in the chamber working with our Pepper Park retailers I really think is paying off. They're really getting traction out to her and Therese for the support in communicating. I think we really had good communication on this event, which is reflected by the number of attendees. One sort of sad note on the other end of that is that we've recently gotten word that one of the participating retailers, the Selectionaire, is closing its doors. And she has written kind of an open letter to her loyal customers that she's going back into her corporate life world, which she left to do this. I think she had a very loyal following. I think they did fine. I think maybe she was, I haven't spoken to her directly, but her reference to going back to her corporate life may be that she's decided she misses that or something along those lines. So certainly we'll be looking for to do a little bit of post-mortem with her on that and better understand how traffic was and how things were working there, and also to make sure we identify a new tenant for that spot as soon as we can do so. Of course, we had Sean McHugh, and is Sean still there, or has he gone?
He's here. He's still here, Andy.
Great. So the one thing that we have talked about, we talked about the importance of signage, and also about plans for the retail center. So when I think once the restaurants open and the deal is closed on the retail center, we hope to sit down with Sean and investigate more fully plans for that center. And I've explained to him that we had gone to the previous owner and proposed a matching grant program for signage and elevation improvements and landscape improvements. I think we'll revisit that since Sean talked about the importance of signage. We've often talked about the importance of signage on Route 14 with the amount of traffic that goes by there. We'd like to put a signage up there that reflects the quality of the tenants that are now going to be entering that retail center. So more to come on that as well. And finally, staying on the vein of restaurants, in the effort that we've made all the way through COVID when we provided the grant money to help our area restaurants not only survive but thrive through COVID, with Treasurer Hirsch's great reporting, one of the statistics that she showed is the change in revenue as a percentage of our total tax revenue. In 2021, restaurants accounted for 8.7% of our total revenue. In 22, 10.7%, and in 23, 11.5%. So it's exciting to see that our efforts with our restaurants are really paying off as they are becoming more an increasing percentage of total retail sales tax for the village. And that is my report.
Are there questions for Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Yes, Sean, I'm sorry, please.
No worries. Trustee Burke, thank you. I appreciate you addressing the signage. It's, signage, as mentioned earlier, it's very important, and it was very instrumental on our success over at Galati's too as well, getting that frontage signage. And it would definitely benefit all of our neighboring businesses within our local strip mall there. We see our neighbors as partners because we're sharing customers. We want our customers to be their customers and vice versa. So signage is very important. And I think that was, that's something that is really huge for us in the future. So that's all I had to say. But thank you, Trustee Burke, for addressing that. I appreciate it.
We want to see.
You're welcome. And Sean, just so you know, I think in Lake Barrington, as an oasis of gracious countryside living, we call our strip mall retail centers.
Okay.
So we don't use the term strip mall because it seems to have a negative connotation.
How's that, actually? Yeah. Okay, I will make sure that that has been noted. Yeah, absolutely.
You can also call it the center of the universe, and that's fine, too.
Fair enough, fair enough, President.
Right.
Anything further, Andy?
No, that's it for me, thanks.
And thank you, Sean.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Agenda item 11C is external relations. I attended, and I always say this for the record, I traveled to Washington, D.C. in January for the annual winter meeting of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. I do not invoice the village for my travel, my hotel, my taxis, my meals, my airfare. I do that, and it's frankly how I spend the money I make as president. And I learn a lot. And the Water Council stuff, I actually picked up those cards and then failed to remember to give them to you, so get after me tomorrow about that. The other thing is I'm spending a lot more time, a couple of mayors, and I won't name the communities because I don't know that it would be fair, but I asked the question of Director Jackson earlier about cybersecurity. This is very interesting that some adverse overseas players, nations have outsourced hacking to criminal organizations. And so they are particularly interested in small and mid-sized cities. I'll scare the daylights out of all of you another time with everything I've learned on this, but they're after small and mid-sized cities. Not the hackers keep the money, the state sponsors keep the data. And I asked a very senior retired intelligence official why, and he said, "You're the antelope at the watering hole with the broken leg," because small towns are woefully unprepared for cyber. At the U.S. Conference of Mayors, I met 3 of our metro suburban Chicago mayors who all have had hacking experiences. A lot of them are Russian or Iranian based. It's a serious topic for another time, but it would be dangerous for us and irresponsible for us to think that we are immune, that we're not going to be interested. Why would they care about us? Part of the reason they care about us is the nature of how generative AI works. And the more you feed data to it, the more robust its power comes in writing the algorithms that can be used to manipulate Western opinion or target certain things in case of hostile action. So I had one call with our IT guy about 3 months ago, and I'm going to bother him again because as I learn more and more about this, I really want us to pursue a best-in-class on this. I don't have a clue what it takes to the treasurer's world of responsibility. I don't know what it costs for us to be this way, but I know what cyber claims and cyber insurance cost. And I'm talking to some folks in Washington early next month when I go out who work for the trade associations that represent property casualty insurers who pay these claims. And the average claim appears to be for a small town like ours about $1.5 million to $3 million. So we can't go self-insured, so we have to have insurance. And so the insurance folks are paying a lot of attention to this, and I just want to see what they can teach us. But it's something that in my role of external relations, and CISA that he mentioned is the federal agency at the Department of Homeland Security, and I want to see if we can get them to come out or at least visit with us. They've been extremely responsive. And they've got fabulous content and programming, and so one of the things I'd like you to remind me about when you call me tomorrow for the business cards on the water rate study is getting the CISA folks together with our IT guy. They've got checklists of things that small communities should do. If you have TikTok on your phones, you need to take it off. Short. And if your kids do, you need to tell them, no. Our parents didn't have to worry about that. This stuff didn't exist. My parents had to worry about carrier pigeons. So that was the tech of my life. So,
and President Richardson, on that point, in your experience in Washington, what is the Why is the persistent appetite to not ban TikTok in Washington? What is it?
Well, several states have, and there is a First Amendment argument that I think would impede a ban, an outright ban. Now, employers can say that if you work for Lake County or you work for the Village of Lake Barrington and you're using a corporate-owned device, then no. But to tell a resident on their personal device that they can't raises serious First Amendment considerations. So it's an awareness campaign. Now, several states have gotten very aggressive on this, and I believe Montana is the state that has passed something on this, and I don't know the content of the bill, but people are dialed into it. And I was talking to the city, Sharon's counterpart, the city manager for Gloucester, England, and they were hacked by a Russian-sponsored gang, and we are kidding ourselves if we think we're going to avoid it because we're small. We become more appealing because we're small. So that will be all my jokes and all my wisecracks aside. This is as serious as a heart attack. So.
Could I add something to that, Kevin?
Oh, of course you may.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but
thank you.
It reminded me that I did receive, IML sends out warnings or notices, and they were noticing, sending out notices that water and wastewater plants were being targeted.
Oh, especially.
And they said Pumptronics was whatever people were using for controlling something, whatever, they were using the software Pumptronics, be very, very careful. And I did send this to Tim, and they're not using that, they're using Micrologics, but apparently they're getting in through this particular software, so that would be a vulnerability.
Well, years ago, when the widely known hack of Target, they got in through the thermostat. If you have an IoT device, you're vulnerable. Trustee Hayes will probably know more about this from his former life, but more and more the military is seeking disconnected devices for a lot of functions. No comms capability. So that at the end of the day, remember what we used to do with Palm Pilots? We would dock them to translate. So in three-letter agencies related to national security and intelligence, there is a trend, certainly in the military uniform services, to move to devices that do not have comms for just that reason. Disconnected devices is the term of art. So stay tuned, because I got a lot more on this. I'm getting smarter on it every day, and it's going to turn the rest of my hair gray. We can move to agenda item 11D, Finance, HR, and Admin. Trustee Hayes.
The only thing, and we talked to the committee of the whole, but for the public as well, next month in April, we'll be going over budget items, so we'll be reviewing that in, or March rather. In April or May, we'll be taking the vote on the next year's budget, so if you're interested, that will be on the agenda coming forth. And as far as human resources and administration, nothing significant to report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for Trustee Hayes? 11E, Roads and Infrastructure. Trustee Schallmoser.
Thank you, President Richardson. We talked a little bit about this committee of the whole. Rather light report today. Yesterday, bids came in for the 2024 resurfacing program. 6 bids were received. The lowest bid coming in at $178,000, significantly under forecast by Geske and Sons. Engineer estimate for 2025 preliminary budget of $886,000 and change. We budgeted about $892 for that, so again, under budget. Good planning by Administrator Peterson to get ahead of that, to get bids early instead of waiting till midsummer. So very pleased on that as we ramp up for another year of paving. That's all.
Questions for Trustee Schallmoser? If not, Lieutenant Kirk, would you come up and give us a public safety report in the absence of Trustee Schaller? And as always, welcome. It is a delight to have you here.
Thank you very much, and good evening. The only thing I have, and I know Administrator Peterson's aware, there was some vandalism, criminal damage to property in Lake Barrington Shores, and we were in contact with their administrator and their public safety chief And right now, the cases in our investigations division, one of our detectives is assigned to that and working on that. But other than that, really nothing else of note from the Lake County Sheriff's Office. It's happy to have Director Jackson here. I've known him for a long time in his days when he was with emergency management, so it was kind of funny to see him come over to Sheriff's Office and, very, very friendly guy, and I'm glad you guys got to meet him today, so thank you for that.
Questions for Lieutenant Kirk? Thank you, as always. We're grateful for your service.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Agenda item 11G, Open Space and Special Events. Trustee Perkins.
Thank you, President Richardson. We are, Sharon and I are working, we've been talking a lot about some of the events for Lake Barrington. We have our summer concerts set up. We have bands booked. They will, again, be the third Thursday of the month in June, July, and August. And then we've also been working a lot on Barn Stomp as well. We have a date for Barn Stomp, but we have that set for October 5th. We have some really super fun and exciting things that we're working on for that, so stay tuned. It's really exciting. And then we're also considering doing, maybe working with some of the businesses in Pepper Park to do a little holiday kickoff there, with for the next holiday season. Give it kind of a little small town feel, maybe get one of the choirs from one of the middle schools, high school, just kind of get the community involved. So Sharon and I are having fun talking about doing some new and exciting things in the community, so stay tuned, okay?
Thank you. Are there questions for Trustee Perkins on her report?
No question, but a suggestion. Suzanne from the Barrington Chamber seems very interested in partnering with us, so you might want to involve her in that idea and see what ideas she has.
God bless the guests who stay to the end. God bless you. To show you that I can be serious, I'm going to be merciful because we're going to get through this next stuff in 30 seconds, and then we're going to adjourn.
Closed session.
We have to have one?
To approve the minutes from the last month, because we went into a closed session last month after this meeting.
So, okay, well, we can still adjourn from all of this. Okay. I'm going to get 98% done, and then we have to stay after school because we didn't behave.
We can do it next month if you want.
Oh, we can do it next, oh, even better. Well, then I get to, you want to get your timers out? Agenda item 12 is old business. There is none. Agenda item 13 is ordinances. There are none before the board. Agenda item 14 is resolutions. None before the board. Agenda item 15, new business. None is being sought. Agenda item 16, second opportunity in the agenda for the public to address the board on non-agenda items. No one seeking recognition. No closed session under agenda item 17 this evening. No other business. Chair would like a motion to adjourn. So moved. By Trustee Hayes. May I have a second?
Second.
By Trustee Perkins. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.